Now that we've gone through the fundamentals of working with CorelDRAW and Vector and all of the interactive tools, in this session I'd like to create an actual design, and we'll kind of take a look at the design process in CorelDRAW. In this session what I'm going to do is create a simple baseball design. So I'm going to go to my design base. I'll go to advanced tools here. I'll go to design base, and what I want to do is bring in a baseball art pack. And these packs are set up so that you can load multiple pieces of art based on themes. Just going to click through my arrows down here, and I believe I have it right here. I have a baseball pack of baseball elements. So I'll double click and I'll import that into the current document. And I'm not going to bother updating the text with this particular art pack. Go ahead and minimize here. You can see what I got here. I've got a baseball, some bats, gloves, different elements here. I'll go ahead and lasso all of this. I'm going to bring this over here to the right for now. I'm going to open my design base back up, and I've also got some baseball tails. That's softball, track and field. This is my baseball tails. I'm going to bring these in. I might want to use these in my design. Double click on that. Import to current document, and that'll take just a minute to load. That's a pretty big file. There's probably about 30 or 40 different tails in there. I'm not going to want to update text on that, so I'll let that process. And now I've got those loaded. I'll go ahead and lasso these and bring these over to one side here on the right. So what I've got here is I've got a number of different design elements. We'll go ahead and take a look here, but we set up these packs so that we can just load a whole bunch of stuff at the same time and then kind of see which we might want to work with in our design. And I think the first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and get that baseball, and we'll build off the baseball with bats. Go ahead and ungroup here. I want just the baseball that I've got here. I'll go ahead and resize that a bit. Now what I want to do is I want to bring in a team name into this design and then a baseball graphic. So I'm going to go in here with a tail, look at my tails and see which one I might want to work with. Actually I think this one right here will be okay, or this one up here. Let me left click and grab that, and then I'm going to bring that over here also. I'll just duplicate that right on top. Left click, hold down, right click one time, and duplicate that right on top of my baseball here. So I've brought in my effects and my elements, and I've got my tails here, and I've got the baseball set up in the background behind my tail. I might want to take a look at putting a bat in here, and I've got this black and white bat. I'll go ahead and duplicate that back. I usually like to duplicate these in case I do something. I've still got them in my workspace. Go ahead and hold down Control, and I'll just constrain that till I get it right about there. While I'm rotating it, I'll bring that over here, and that's already behind my design because it was brought in first. I'm just going to click this one time with my left mouse button, and I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this. So I was going to rotate it, but actually I'll just go ahead and duplicate it. Left click, hold down, right click one time. You see the plus symbol? Duplicate that, come up here and click on mirror so it's at the same angle as the bat on the other side. Right click that and order it back to page, or I could come up here and click, and that'll send that to the back of the page. Now these two bats, I want to hold down Shift, select these, and hit C so that they are centered. I'm going to group them, and then I'm going to go ahead and enlarge them. So I'll left click here and make that a little bit bigger so you can see some of the bat down here beneath the baseball text. Right there. Now looking at this, it's a pretty standard setup of just a basic baseball logo with the baseball text, the bat, and the ball. And I'm going to want to start adding something to this design to make it look a little bit better. I might want to put a texture in my baseball text down here, something to make it pop a little bit more. I'm going to see what's behind here. I want to left click, hold down, see what we've got in the back. And we've got a black in the back of that. I'll hit Control Z, and I can take this here. First thing I want to do is come up here. There's obviously a power clip here. I want to go ahead and extract that. and then I'll delete whatever was extracted. This is now a power clip. It's in a frame, so I'm going to right click. I'm going to go up to frame type and I'm going to select none to get rid of that power clipped frame. Now let's see what we've got here. We've got this object, which is a gray on front of a black. I'm going to fill this with a white, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my advanced tools and I'm going to go to my Fashion Factory and I'm going to go to my textures and I'm going to look for a cracked texture that'll look fairly decent in this particular design. And I don't want anything too strong. I think I'll go with the dry dirt field. Let's double click on that. And actually I'll go ahead with this. I'm going to go and click on apply as transparency. So here I'm going to start working with a transparency effect on my design. Now the way this came in is it's quite dark, but actually that'll work, and I could actually fill this with different colors, but since this is a white, I probably want to go back to my outlines. This actually has an outline. I'm going to right click and take that outline off. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and just for a minute cut this so it's on my keyboard here, and I want to change this to a white. There we go. And I'm going to change this down here to a black outline. Now we've got quite a bit more depth. Now I'm going to go ahead and paste, and now I've got quite an effect in there. Now if I wanted to change the color, all I had to do is hold down Alt, select the object behind that, and give that a blue fill, and I can see how it looks with a blue, let's say a red. That's a little bit too magenta of a red, but anyway, you got a nice effect in there. Left click, lasso everything, and group that. The next thing I want to do is I want to create some star effect to go up behind this to add some pop to this design, some stars that are just kind of fading in and out here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go first to my interactive star shape tool here. I'm going to create a perfect star, hold down Shift and Control from the center, as you can see there. Now this star, what I want to do is give it a really cool effect. I'm going to go ahead and right click here and then right click on the black to give myself a smaller outline. We'll fill that with a gray. And to give this some effect, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my interactive extrude tool. I'm just going to left click, hold down until that's centered. Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to give it a beveled effect. So I'm going to click use bevel, show bevel only. Now right now I've just taken what was a flat star and given it some depth. Now I can also come over here and we're going to give this some more depth with some color. I'm going to come up here to light number 2, click on that, and now we've got quite a bit of color in that star. So we've got some depth in our graphic, and you really want to pay attention to adding effects and depth. Flat graphics are great, but when you have the opportunity, add some depth, because that's what gives your graphics pop on your garments. I'm going to go over here and just right click and select break bevel group apart. We'll go in here to the center, which is the original star is there, and then we've got the new one on top. I'm going to click ungroup all because I got a group there, and I want to get to this here and fill that with a white. And I want to lasso everything, and I'm just going to right click to take all of my outlines off. So all I've got is the shading around the outside here. I might want to make this a little bit darker depending on what my colors are. I'll hold down Alt and select the star behind, which was the star that we started with, and I'm going to give this an outline. So I'm going to go to my Object Properties Docker, and I'll just left click and that'll open. I'm going to come down here and give this, let's say, a 12-point outline. I'm going to round corners and end caps, and I would normally select behind, fill or scale with object, but what I'm actually going to do in this case, just so that I can be sure, is I'll simply go to Arrange, Convert Outline to Object, and I'm not going to be dealing with that. And I could fill this also with a red and then change these colors to lighter red to match what's going on with the ball, but I won't do with that at this point in time. Lasso everything, group it, there you see it. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and get a circle, and with my circle I'm going to start from the middle of the ball and hold down Shift and Control so that I create a perfectly centered circle around there. Now I can see I probably want that to be a little bit bigger. Now here I've got an ellipse that I've set up, very simple. I'm going to go convert that to a curve. I'm going to go to my shape tool and I'm going to create a node here, double click. I'm going to right click on that and select break apart. And I'm going to do the same down right about here. Double click, drop a node, right click, select break apart. And then I'm going to right click here in the center, and that's not going to work, so I'll right click on the actual object and select break curve apart. Now what I did is I just broke that ellipse apart and I've got this segment of curve that I built right here. I'm going to delete this segment. I'm going to take this star, I'm going to resize it right about to there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and duplicate it up here. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, not too much but just a bit, so it looks like we've got some depth going from a bigger to a smaller star. Go to my interactive blend tool, left click here, pull up into there. I'm going to change this from 20 to, let's say, 4 and hit enter and see how that looks. Maybe 3, and I'll have 5 stars in my effect. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this on a path. So what am I going to do? I'm going to select not my starting object or my ending object, but I'm going to select my actual blend, which is in the middle. Come up here to the properties bar, path properties, new path. I'm going to come over and click on this arch. You can see right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. Let's see, we want to go to, here we go, blend along full path. As you can see there. Now that did that. Now the next thing I want to do, I'm going to go to my starting star down here at the bottom and rotate that just a bit. And you'll see how that has an effect. It starts to rotate up in here. And I can take this star and just change the size a little bit, make it even smaller, and rotate that this way. And now I've got some nice rotation of these stars. Now if I want to, I just selected my path, and I can make some edits with my path here to change the shape of that curve and the way in which these stars are being blended around my design with the blend tool. Right there. I might want to pull this out here just a little bit, make this just a little bit more dramatic, and then pull this off this way and play off the bottom or the handles of my bats. Or I could go ahead and lasso this node, make sure I've got this selected. See your cursor change, pull it down here a little bit more, and really start to change the way in which this effect is being applied, or this blend is being applied or set up in my design. And I kind of don't want this touching the ball, so I'll bring that up here like that. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this back up into here so that these are just forming or shaping in a little bit better. Now I'm working very slowly here for the sake of the tutorial, but we can see what we've done there. The next step is going to be right click on this and break blend group apart. And we've done that. And then we can go ahead and select our line segment from our ellipse and delete that. Lasso all of this here, group everything, then bring it over here to the other side. Got it selected, we did a duplication, left click, hold down, right click one time. Mirror that and bring this in across the other side of the ball. Go ahead and select both of these groups of objects. Hold down shift, click one, click the other, group, select our ball and hit the C key to center everything. And then what I'll do is just right click, order in front of, and click on my ball. And it's not going to let me click the ball. I think I actually grouped the ball by accident because I had everything selected there. Did I? Yes, I did. Well, easy to undo that. Just come up here, click off, select here and here, make sure it's not the ball that's selected. No, it's not. Control Z, right click, order in front of, and click on my ball. There we go. Now we've sent that to the back. So you can see how this just adds some depth and pop to the design with the stars. The next thing I might want to do is put in a name, a team name in this design. And if I want to resize these, I can. They might be a little bit too big in the balance of the design. And you're always working for balance. If something's too big, you can make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and select my text here and make that a little bit bigger. And I can skew this down a bit so it's not at quite an angle. And bring that in, say, right there. Maybe just a little bit smaller than that. And what I'm looking for is balance in my design, and I also want my baseball text to really stand out. The next thing I'll probably want to do is just bring in a team name up here across the top. Very simple. Go back to my ellipse tool again, start from the center of my bow, hold down Shift and Control and go out. And I've got that circle just about where I want it because I created it from the center. Come up here across the stars, and let's say we've got our team name would be, I'll just type in team name. Right there, all caps. I'll come up here and select freshman for a font. Corel will take just a minute to load all of my fonts. Go ahead and select freshman. There, then I'll just right click and drag this over here, and as soon as you see the cursor change to crosshairs, you can release that and select fit text to path, and there I have my team name set up at the top of my graphic. Now I can look at this and I'm thinking, well, maybe I want this text to be stretched out a little bit more. Go to my shape tool, left click, hold down and drag, and there is team name. Go ahead and right click here and actually right click on the ellipse because we want to break this apart. So I'm going to right click and just select cut, and that'll just delete. You could select delete also, but that'll just delete that. Fill that with a white. Now I know this is going to be fine, so I'm going to go ahead and convert this to curves. Right click, convert to curves. I'm going to give my text an outline of, let's say, 8 points. I'm going to give my text a fill of white. I'm going to come down here behind fill, scale with object, rounded corners and end caps. And then I can bring this right down in here just a bit. So I've got a team name set up, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, I want to bring that out. It's kind of filled with white and it doesn't really have a lot going on with it. So the way I'll do that is I'm going to change my outline to, let's say, 10 points. Copy that, paste that, fill that with a black, change my outline, right click to white, and then I'm going to go ahead and give that, say, a 4-point white outline. And then I could actually go ahead and fill this also with a red, just to bring it out more in my design. Now you can see how we've been building this design out, and the next thing I probably want to do maybe is add a starburst here. So in that case I would go to my shape tools and I would go to the polygon tool right here. Once again, here in the center, click off, and I'll just hold down Shift and Control and create that from the center of the ball. Change that to, say, 25 sides and points. Hit enter. That will change. Get my shape tool, just select one of these nodes, hold down Control to constrain, and I'll just pull that shape out and create a starburst. I'll fill that with a gray, and I'll go ahead and come up here in the properties bar and send that to the back of the page. And there's my starburst. Now if I want to give that more points, I could come up here and, let's say, go to 40 and hit enter. Resize this a little bit. Now you can see when I'm resizing, I'm going down to the left hand corner. I'll hit Control Z, and let's take a look at this. I want to resize to the center, so I'm going to hold down Shift. You'll see that my cursor will change. That means I'm going to center or resize to the center. And that's more than what I wanted right there. And maybe I want to fill that with a red also, or maybe fill that with a blue or a black, as we can see there. I might want to take and add a texture to this also. I want to see what's behind that, so I'll just left click and move that. That's a white in the background. I'll hit Control Z, and what I'll do is fill this with, I'm going to copy this, fill the background with white. I'm going to paste. I'm going to take off the outline and fill that with a black. Now I should be working with Pantones, but I'll do my conversions with simple steps. I'm going to go to my Fashion Factory, and I'm going to take the same texture that I used on the other one there. I'll go with the second one here, number 2. Double click on that, preview it, apply as transparency. And now I've got a transparency on here, but I can see that there's too much being knocked out here. So I want to come down here to my interactive tools, go to the transparency tool, and simply change my starting and ending points for that effect. And now that's set up in there, and we'll fill that with, let's say, a red. So I've got some distress going on in here with this part of the design also. I'll take that, and I'm actually going to go back to my transparency tool because I want to make sure that if I scale this, transform, fill with object, select OK. I want to do the same thing down here. Transform, fill with object, select OK. Now what happened there? I'm going to hit Control Z. That was grouped. That's why. So I want to ungroup that, and because the only place I have the transparency applied is here, I'm going to hit Control Z. I just applied that to the whole group, and it kind of didn't like that because the other objects didn't have a transparency applied to them. Now that I've got just that selected and not the whole group, I can go back to my transparency, click here, transform, fill with object, click OK. There we go. So there's my basic design setup. I've got my print area here set up for 13 by 19, and I'd be ready to go ahead and set up my separations and output. Next thing I'd obviously want to do is get a comp to my client. Go ahead and bring this over to one side. I'm going to go ahead and group everything here. I'm going to duplicate this over here. I'm going to go to my design base. I'm going to go to my comps, and I'll come down through here and get a male comp, and I think we'll do this as a full back, and I'll go with this one here. So I'm going to go ahead, I've got this selected, I'm going to go full back comp, bring that in, minimize that, and you can see how much better the design actually looks once it's on a garment. It really changes the way in which customers are going to view your designs, because once they see them on an actual garment, go ahead and hold down Alt here, change this to, let's say, a gray, and I'd be ready to send this to a client or create some marketing material with it. I didn't want to select that. I'll hit Control Z. I'll go ahead and lasso here from the bottom and just center that up in the design. Now once I've done this, as far as setting up my design is concerned, I can start to create alternates for my clients. So let's say we've got one here with a gray. I'll go in here, move this over. I can go ahead and say, well, this is, I want to ungroup this, show the client what this looks like with a blue, and we've got the red on top there. Control Z. Is this, that's the white, that's why. I'm going to hold down Alt and change the blue and the text behind that. Change that to a blue, change this to a blue, change the garment to, say, a white, like that. Very easy to set up, very professional comps to send out to your clients for review. Or I could put this on a model comp or something like that. Let's take a look at that also. I want to go back to my design base, and I want to go to Art. I want to go to Marketing Tools, and I want to scroll down here to Comps, and I'll go ahead and bring this comp in. Double click. I have to open this in a new document because it's so big. Go ahead and select everything here. Control C. Go ahead and minimize that. Go back to my training page here and hit Control V. Bring this over, and we can make it look like we've got a young man getting quite a bit of attention because of the quality of his t-shirt. And this here is my shading, so I would just bring this over and put that right there. I could leave it on top of the shading if I wanted to, or I could put it behind it. Go ahead and hold down Shift while I scale this onto the center of that shirt there, and I could go here, hold down Alt. I've got my blue selected, and I know that that's a monochrome. I'm going to right click here and change that to, let's say, a red. Now I've got a young man with a red t-shirt with the design on it. Or we could change that to, say, an orange or a white, depending on how you want to set up your comps and your marketing material for your clients. So go ahead and wrap here, and we've gone through a couple of different things, but you really want to think about when you're designing, how can you use your interactive tools and interactive effects to make your designs better. And we did that working to some degree with the extrude tool and the blend tool, and then some transparencies applied as effect on this very simple baseball design. And also we worked with our polygon tool to create the starburst in the background. So go ahead and wrap here, and we'll see you in our next video session.